All right. All right, we're live right now, and it's here we are, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I was going to actually do a regular podcast with other participants. However, within the last past hour here, the, the two that I had set up to join me tonight, they backed out. Well, Zach was going to join me, but however, he has technical difficulties. Basically with his phone, he has issue with his phone, and the other was a little too tired. Um, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a live podcast as I mentioned, and don't really have too much to talk about tonight without the others here. Don't really have too much to talk about tonight without the others here. I see I see we already have somebody jumping on, and said I don't have much to talk about without the others involved. So I'm gonna try to make the best of this being solo on here tonight, and therefore, since I'm by myself, I'm not gonna be on here long since the others cannot join me. Well, here we are. We're in the month of November. A lot of people are out there squatching, and of course, here in Virginia and then most other states, deer season opened up. So there's a lot of people in the woods, and a lot of people in the woods. Um, Good question, Karen. I'll get to that in this. I'll get to that very shortly. Thank you for asking. I'll try my best to respond to that too. Um, so yeah, with that being said, when with us having a lot of people in the woods this time of year because of the deer season, I've had questions asked about this in the past, and as far as what does Bigfoot do? A lot of people believe that Bigfoot escapes, retreats to higher ground, or moves out of areas, which I don't believe they quite move out of the area. I do believe, however, they retreat to a higher location, more remote and more secluded. For those who are familiar with the way a lot of people hunt these days, hunters do not travel too far into the woods, especially if you're familiar with, like, for example, here in Virginia, a lot of your national forests. I mean, you can get lost in the woods around here. It's miles and miles of terrain, and for a hunter to go 2 or 3 miles in the woods without no equipment to haul out a deer, I mean, unless they pack it out, which is very unlikely. And so think about that for a second. They're very unlikely, because a lot of hunters, I found that a lot of them set up tree stands just off the edge of the forest road, less than a quarter of a mile into the woods. If you have dogs, if you're allowed to run dogs, a lot of your hunters, they're going to sit by the roadway while their dogs push out the deer or the bear or whatever you're hunting. So now, with that being said, again, when I mentioned that I believe that squatches retreat, they're going deeper in the woods, higher terrain. Because I wish I could kind of give you a better illustration about my what it's like in my research area. Well, I can kind of give you an illustration. If for those who've watched my most recent field video, where there's a lot of scenery, I'm hiking up, a ridge. I've actually hiked up several ridges, and if you see in the video where I show a lot of the distant terrain to give you an idea how high up I was, um, I used to do that a lot, and I'm trying to get back into doing a lot of deep hiking, especially on high terrain. Um, I believe that's where they retreat because there's so much beyond that. Like in my most recent video, I showed you guys how high up I was, and you can see the other overlaps of mountains in the distance. And that's just beyond that ridge. There's so much terrain where they could retreat into. People don't realize how deep some of these forests are, and how much of it is actually um, really untouched by us. If it ever has been touched, it's very rare. So for a hunter to get out in the woods, they're not going to break their neck to go miles and miles in the woods. In that my most recent, excuse me, in my most recent field video, I hiked 4 miles. That was a 4 mile hike. And every time I went around a saddle, along the ridges, it brought me up higher and higher at each level. And, here I am, I'm looking up over the ridge, and, I'm looking for signs, in which I believe I actually have come across a couple. Found some bear sign and whatnot. So, I believe this time of year, and I believe every location is going to vary. Every piece of terrain, state, if there's squatches there, I believe their behaviors are going to vary. But again, depends how much population of hunters, how many hunters you may have in that area. How pressured is that area? These are the kind of things you need to think about. How pressured are the woods in your area or the surrounding area? If squatches are coming in, if squatches inhabit these areas, then you got hunters coming around. The squatches, they're not going to hit around there. They're not going to be staying around there. So you might have an area where you're thinking, man, I got squatch activity, and I'm referring to the hunting season. A lot of squatchers go out in the woods, forgetting about the other people in the woods, and possibly having dogs running through the woods. A lot of you guys are being deceived thinking you're hearing squatch activity, and when there's actually people about a mile up the other way. And again, if there's other people in the woods, they're pushing the squatches deeper into the woods. They're pushing the squatches on higher terrain. So, that's one thing, you need to really think about. I have, most recently, me and my buddy Greg, we were going to actually go out. We were going to go out this morning. And I told Greg, well, we had a couple issues with the location that we wanted to go. And I said, well, Greg, if we go anywhere else, I said, we need to wear blaze orange. It's open deer season. There's a lot of hunters, a lot of people in the woods. And he forgot about that. So I have no problem squatching during the hunting season. When I'm out deer hunting, if I'm on the move, if I'm not stationary, if I'm on the move, I'm always looking. It's a habit. You can't help but look and become aware of your surroundings. Do squatches hang around in the areas while hunters are there? Sure, why not? If it's not so pressured, I do believe the squatches do hang around. Some people claim that they go away. I believe it's either or. So it's not going to be definite. There's no right or wrong answer with your conclusion or your opinion with what you believe about squatches in any particular area. Because again, just like deer, your wildlife, a lot of it's going to vary depending on where you live, the climate, the habitat, environment, and so forth. Now, a lot of that has a lot to do with how wildlife acts and lives. So, but again, if you're going to be out there squatching, again, ladies and gentlemen, take your precautions. Please make sure you're wearing your blazer orange. Unfortunately, I would love to be out hunting, but I cannot afford it. This is 1 year. I have to actually literally skip it. I have vehicle issues. My vehicle's got issues. So anyway, I'm not here to talk about my vehicle. So finances are tight. So I'm not here to talk about that either. So I'm making the best of it. I am also making plans for future investigations. Talking about investigation, let's switch this up a notch here. All right, I've been gathering over the last several months. I have been gathering reports from out of the state of West Virginia. And West Virginia, the reports that I'm gathering right there, the reports are building up. And I actually am developing a cluster, a pattern. And just like I do in here in Virginia, I got a map. I have my own personal data form here where I actually developed a pattern in a cluster of certain reports and sightings. And actually, of course, the reports are still growing here in Virginia. But now West Virginia, we've always heard a lot of crazy activities ever happened in West Virginia, a lot of reports, a lot of sightings, and other cryptids in West Virginia. Well, as far as Bigfoot goes, yes, the Bigfoot sightings have been building and growing, and the reports are we're looking at between 2 years old till present time. That's how fresh a lot of the reports I've been gathering, and I've been making notes. I've been marking them down in the counties, in the areas they are, and so far I got three, in one particular area, and the other one's not far off. So I'm looking at a possibly well inhabited area. Uh, that's right. Wes Stump is one of our West Virginia residents. How you doing, Wes? So, so yeah, West Virginia is booming with activity. People are, seeing things. Some of them on their own property, which is awesome. So, so all right, Bigfoot Explorer, Southeast Louisiana in the house. All right, awesome. Yeah, I'm good, Wes. Thank you for asking. Um, are the Virginia? Oh, hold on. I'm trying to read that. Are there Virginia sightings of the Neanderthal-looking Sasquatch? No, to be honest with you, most reports just are describing um, ape-like features. Everybody that shared with me, um, there's been one mention of man-like. The words man-like. But most descriptions are coming back as like a large gorilla, long arms, and the only thing Neanderthal that they describe is basically the eyebrow ridge. All right, and most of them describe a rounded head and very large, broad shoulders, and again, long arms. And let's see, what else we got? Oh, hold on. There we go. It can be scary. I never knew they exist until in 2012. Nice. There was a question on here. I want to see if I can back up and catch that question. Let's see. Oh, yeah, from Karen. Karen, if you're still listening, I'm going to try to address your question to the best of my ability. Karen had asked a question earlier. How long do Bigfoot live? That's a very good question. And before I explain my response to that, keep in mind there's no facts about this. There's no facts about Bigfoot. But when it comes to this kind of question, I'm going to answer this using my research and my comparisons. If we are comparing Bigfoot, Sasquatch, which I compare to our known non-human primates, gorillas, chimpanzees, etc., etc. Their lifespan is usually up to around 50 to 60 years. That's right, 50 to 60 years. And to us, that's pretty young. That really, to us, is pretty young. And primates, that's an old age for them. Their lifespan, is their average between 50 and 60 years old. So if we had to compare Bigfoot to them, then we would have to say 50 to 60 years. Then for those of us there's some of you guys out there that look at Bigfoot as human. Maybe they do live longer. And for those who report seeing white or grayish color, I believe that's a possibility of an older, mature male or female, where they've aged enough where they may have picked up or developed or grew out the gray or white hair. Kind of like a human when we become of age and get very old. When we start to get old, we start to get the gray hair. Our brown hair turns gray. So that could be a possibility with, or it could just be a very rare trait that they possess. So anything's possible. So I hope I answer that question clearly. Like I said, I'm not no expert, and we don't have no facts about that. But again, I'm only giving you my response based off of a comparison. One of my comparison notes. If you look at a gorilla or a chimpanzee, their average life expansion usually about 50 to 60 years old. I'm not saying they. I mean, is it possible for them to live longer? Yeah, why not? Anything is possible. It's just we don't know the facts. We don't know the details. Um, we can build conclusions if we do enough research. We can develop better conclusions to share a better response on this. So, um, is there any other questions on there? Anything I might have missed that I could try to address while I'm on here? So, so again, we were talking about the hunting squatches during the hunting season. I also mentioned, we were just talking about their age. Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome, Karen. What percentage of responses are greater when you use them? Actual calls or would not? That's a good question. Some people, everybody in the field will vary. A lot of people believe, a lot of people get vocalizations, will get responses from vocalizations. Me, on the other hand, I never got a response from a vocal for me giving one. I've always gotten responses from tree knocks. Um, I mean, I can't tell you, I've gotten so many responses from tree knocks. It's awesome. I mean, it's very exciting. I've had my daughter with me on a couple of occasions where we've had tree knocks responses to us. Um, in two different locations, and I've had tree knocks with Michael Cook from Kentucky. Um, on a cold January day where we were walking down this trail and not finding nothing, not hearing nothing. He decides to pick up an old dead log, tree, and starts banging it on another rotten log. And when he banged, it was pretty loud. It was well heard. And then we started getting responses all over. So yeah, they do. They've actually responded back from our tree knocks. And again, that's happened multiple times. Now, during our camping expeditions, my good friend Greg Corbin and fellow researcher, we get a lot of activity that happens around our camp in my main research area. We've had a lot of crazy stuff happen there. And some of the vocalizations we've had, Greg was able to imitate almost exactly what we've had right around our camp. And when Greg imitated that and had given the response or that call, we'd actually received a return vocalization exactly back with what he put out there. So, yeah, vocals, to give a vocal, it does happen. But, and I think in different areas, it varies, and other people, several of you guys experience different things. It's just me personally, I've always got responses from tree knocks. So, see what else we got here. In my opinion, knocking on trees is among prison population, throwing random hand signs. Yeah, as far as tree knocks, my opinion, based off of the way I picked up and received these tree knocks, to me, I believe it's a notification. It's an alert. It's a location signal. I'll give you an example. One of the times, about 2 or 3 years ago, we're looking about around 3 years ago, it was me and two others. We were hiking through the woods, and were climbing up one ridge, and it came down and came up to another ridge. By the time we got to the second ridge, we were just hiked up. We were out of breath. We were sitting down, taking a break. And I stood up and decided, guys, I'm going to do a tree knock. Okay. I give off a tree knock, a nice, clear, loud knock. And then within seconds, from the ridge we just came from, over to my left, looking back at that ridge, I had a clear knock down to my left. And then there was another knock that followed that one that was up the ridge. So we had a double response. So the one down there was responding. The other one up there was responding. So basically, we had here I am. We had a triangle. I'm the first one. I'm at the top of the pyramid. I'm at the top of the triangle. So you got 1, 2, 3. So look at the points of a triangle. That was the pattern of the tree knocks. I was at the top of the point. I gave off the first tree knock. And then, of course, you got 1, 2, So I believe that they're also locating and letting you know where they're located. It's the same. If we're comparing Sasquatch, Bigfoot to our non-human primates, like I do often, I also believe that vocalizations is also another way of locating, commuting, communicating with the rest of the group. Because a chimpanzee and a lot of other primates will be basically you'll have a one or two subjects left at the base while the rest of the group has gone out hunting. The one at the base will actually give off a scream to contact or reach out to communicate to the others, basically for locating. And that's how our non-human primates work. So could Bigfoot, Sasquatch be doing the same thing? We can't not dismiss it. I believe it's very possible. But again, the tree knocks, I believe are locating and alerts. So everybody could share their own belief. Everybody believes, um, share what they believe on that. Everything's different, but that basically, from what I've gathered, that's what I believe. So, yes, indeed. So, um, all right. Do we have anything else we could cover here before because I didn't want to be on here too long. Have you watched the Sasquatch Central videos on Mary Green about Janice Carter and her family in their 50 years? Nah, I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I'm not sure about that one, Johnny. So, not sure. Huh. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. So, so yeah, again, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys, understand my explanations. I'm not the best at explaining, but I always try to give the best illustrations to make my point. And, so, and I remember what I said about this time of year, about the squatches. If you're going to be out there Bigfooting, keep in mind, you're not alone. You're not the only human out there. There's other people out there because it's hunting season and the hunters are going to be out there. The squatches are going to be pushed back further away on the higher ground. So, yep. Um, so I'm not saying you have no chances of having activity, but the chances are a little less likely versus to having activity with other people. So, all right. It's near Virginia. Okay. Nice, nice. One other thing I want to share with you before I go, ladies and gentlemen. Um, if you're not subscribed to Blue Ridge Bigfoot, his name's Mike Singleton. He's the host of that YouTube channel. Tell him that Daniel Benoit of the Bigfoot Zone YouTube channel sent you. But you guys want to hear some awesome, amazing stories, go check out Blue Ridge Bigfoot by Mike Singleton. He's got a lot of stories and reports he's gathered from people. There's a couple he's working on that I've actually sent and shared to him that he may be trying to gather more information. And if you have any Bigfoot sightings or stories you want to share and you want heard or told, contact Blue Ridge Bigfoot. Let Mike know that Daniel Benoit of Bigfoot Zone sent you, and he'll set it up with you to communicate and how to get all the information he needs. And so meanwhile, this is Daniel Benoit, founder of the ECBRO, the East Coast Bigfoot Researchers Organization. And for those who may be new, thank you if you're subscribed, and feel free to share the video and give us a like. And anything, I'll be on the lookout. Yeah, be on the lookout for future shows and podcasts. And I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, feel free to share this channel around. Let others know about it. I try to keep it real, honest, and straight to the point. My field videos, I do not try to make anything up. I try not to seek attention like many others do. So, a lot of people are claiming to see things in my video. More power to you. That's cool. There's been a very few videos where I believe there actually is something in them, but I don't try to brag about that. If the Squatches are there, hey, that's awesome. I'm there to learn about them, just like we all are. So, you ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys again. I appreciate you guys. Keep it squatchy and share and subscribe.